Good afternoon, everyone. My presentation is titled, Using Canvas Analytics and Surveys to Build Teacher Presence. The slides are available on Google Slides with the transcript for the videos in the presenter notes. I've added the link to the slides in the chat so that you can follow along if you like or save them for later. My email address is also on this first slide, 10girl@vt.edu. Please contact me later if you have any questions that come up. So my presentation will have two sections with a break in the middle for a short attendee poll and discussion. In the video for Section 1, I will briefly present research on how presence in online courses supports students' educational experience. I will then demonstrate tools in Canvas that can help teachers connect with students easily, even in large courses. While the video plays, I will monitor the chat for questions and discussion. After the Section 1 video ends, I will launch a short reflective poll to introduce an active learning survey. In the video for Section 2, I will demonstrate how using similar polls in Canvas can contribute to presence and support in the classroom no matter how large the class is. Finally, I will share ways that I respond to these polls with class newsletters. Again, I will monitor the chat for questions and discussion. After the Section 2 video ends, we will have time for questions and group discussions, so let's jump in. Social presence is critical for online instructors. Without it, students may question whether their teachers know and care about their needs. In some cases, students may question whether the teacher is engaged in the course, or worse yet, if the teacher exists at all. As Darby and Lang explain, even for experienced online learners and instructors, it's easy to forget that a name on the screen represents a human being who can benefit from your presence and benefit your learning with their presence. Even more important than demonstrating the human presence of those in online courses, the social presence of teachers in a course has a significant impact on student success. In their 1999 study, Garrison, Anderson, and Archer explained the connections between communities of inquiry and presence. Social presence marks a qualitative difference between a collaborative community of inquiry and a simple process of downloading information. The difference is the quality of the message. In a true community of inquiry, the tone of the messages is questioning but engaging, expressive but responsive, skeptical but respectful, and challenging but supportive. In such a collaborative community of learners, social presence is enhanced. When social presence is combined with appropriate teaching presence, the result can be a high level of cognitive presence leading to fruitful critical inquiry. In other words, the pedagogical value of instructor presence isn't just that students know that the teacher is there. It is that the teacher connects all three areas of presence for students: social, teaching, and cognitive presence. Garrison, Anderson, and Archer used this three-ring Venn diagram to represent the three aspects of presence in a community of inquiry. Cognitive presence, the upper right circle in the diagram, is the ability of the teacher and students to construct meaning through sustained communication, based specifically on Dewey's practical inquiry, with the community moving from dissonance to exploration to integration and finally to resolution. Social presence, represented by the upper left circle in the diagram, focuses on the ability of the teacher and students to project themselves and their learning characteristics into the community, presenting themselves to the other participants as real people. Finally, teaching presence, the lower circle in the Venn diagram, is the design of the educational experience and its facilitation. It's the structure and process of the community as noted in the diagram. As the overlapping middle of the diagram indicates, the three kinds of presence combine to create the educational experience of students in a course. As the teacher interacts with and responds to students, establishing social presence, students gain a stronger perception of the teaching presence. In turn, the increased sense of teaching presence results in cognitive presence in the community. Because I teach fully online asynchronous classes, I wanted to find a way to increase the social and teaching presence that I was bringing to my classes. At the same time, I teach a 4-4 load with about 84 students a term. I simply do not have time to contact every student individually every week. My solution was to use the tools built into Canvas to connect with students. I used 3 tools in Canvas. The New Analytics and Grades tools identify the students who may need support. I used the connected Canvas inbox messages to connect with these students, typically sending them short, simple reminders and updates. These tools can be used to provide any kind of feedback to students, to reinforce educational gains, to motivate students to keep trying, to support students who need extra help, and so on. While I am working with asynchronous classes, these tools work just as well for synchronous, hybrid, or campus-based classes. I'm going to share some scenarios that these tools can help with, but first we have to make sure Canvas's New Analytics is enabled on your machines. So here's how you would do that. If New Analytics is enabled, you may see a link in the course navigation on the left side of the screen. You may also see a button for New Analytics on the home page in the buttons at the top right navigation sidebar. If you don't see a New Analytics button in the right sidebar of your home page, you know you need to enable the tool. To do so, go to the settings page for your course using the link in the left course navigation sidebar. Choose the Feature Options tab at the top of the settings page, here marked with the maroon circle. Look for the New Course and User Analytics feature in the list. Your list of features may be different from mine. If you do not see New Course and User Analytics, you will need to contact your campus Canvas administrator to ask for the tool to be enabled at the site level. Click on the related button under the State heading, marked with the orange arrow here, and choose Enable to turn on the tool. Once you enable the tool, it should be available from the right sidebar on your home page. Now that New Analytics is enabled, you're ready to go. For this first scenario, I want to invite everyone who scored a C or lower on the last project to a special study session. The study session is open to anyone, but I know these students need extra help to do well on the next project. To find the students and then email each one could be a lot of work, so I might have used a whole class announcement. Fortunately, however, I can use the New Analytics tools to easily message just those students in one step. Here's how. Click the New Analytics button on the course homepage. By default, Canvas will show me the Course Grades Averages tab, which displays all students and all course activities. I can choose the drop-down menu shown here and find the assignment that I want to use. In my case, I'm using the Label Analysis assignment. Once I click on that assignment, a sidebar slides out from the right side of the window. The sidebar shows a bar graph of the average grades for the course. In my case, because I use an ungrading approach, grades are either complete or incomplete, so the graph shows only 0% or 100%. So I want to target the students who earned a 0 on the label analysis assignment. That means that they didn't meet the assignment's expectations on their first try, and I want to invite them to my special study session. The messaging dialog appears, and by default it shows the score range option, circled in maroon at the top of this image. The other options are missing and late. I want to message only the students who have not done well on the assignment, so I set the score range as 0 to 75. I can enter any range I want, so I can send one message to students with A's and a different message to those who have the 0%. In the blind copy line, I can click on the link for the number of students. Here it's 41 students, marked by the arrow, and Canvas displays a list of those students. I can remove any students from the message who should not receive it. Now all I have to do is compose my message by adding my subject line and the body of the message. I'll provide details on when and where the study session will happen and explain how it will help students revise this assignment and do better on their future work. I can also suggest that they come by during office hours or visit the Writing Center for help on their next assignment. So in one step, I have emailed all 41 of my students, and I didn't have to look up a single email address. For the second scenario, I publish a weekly newsletter with tips for current assignments. But so far, few students are reading the resource. I want to find students who have not read the most recent newsletter and tell them why they should check it out. Without New Analytics, I would have no way of knowing who had or hadn't viewed a class resource. I would have to resort to a whole class announcement. Here's how new analytics can help me accomplish my goal. So for this scenario, I will again click on New Analytics button on the home page, and I will arrive at the default course grades view. This time, I will click on the Weekly Online Activity tab at the top, circled here, to change the view to a graph based on the page views and participations by students in the course. If I mouse over one of the points on the graph that shows up, Canvas will show me the exact figures for that week. New Analytics is not a real-time view of the numbers in your class, so the current week will usually have limited information. In my case, this graph shows zeros for the current week because Virginia Tech was on spring break. So I'm going to use the previous week for my demonstration. When I click on the point on the graph, Canvas displays the specific information for that week. A sidebar slides in from the right side of the window showing summary statistics at the top of the dialog and a list of students at the bottom of the dialog. In this screenshot, I have blurred out the students' names to protect their privacy. In this case, on the left, circled in orange, 78 of the students viewed at least one course page during the week, and 3 students viewed no pages. On the right, circled in maroon, 69 of the students participated in the course in some way, while 12 did not. The numbers for the total page views and total participations are links that pop up related messaging dialog boxes. So if I click on the link for 3 students who didn't view, marked by the maroon arrow, the following message dialog will display. Along the top, there are 4 tabs, circled here, that allow me to change to a different group of students. By default, the dialog shows summary details for students who didn't view any pages because I clicked on students who didn't view. I can easily change to those who have viewed pages by clicking on another tab. What makes this tool particularly useful to me is the ability to drill down to specific resources that students viewed or didn't view. In this case, I'm looking at students who didn't view the most recent newsletter on Canvas during the week in question. So I choose the newsletter by clicking on the resource drop-down menu, marked with the orange arrow in this screenshot, and scrolling down, I find it. Alternately, I can click in the resources field and begin typing the name of the resource I'm looking for, and Canvas will narrow the list down to make it easier to find what I'm looking for. Once I click on that particular asset, the newsletter, in this case the newsletter, the message dialog changes to the number of students who have not viewed it during that week, marked by the orange arrow here. Now, rather than 3 students, the messaging dialog shows 77 students. And you can see why I want to connect with those students. That's close to 95% of the class not taking advantage of the newsletter. If I click on that link for 77 students, I can see the students' names and remove any who I don't want to include. For instance, if I know a student is in the hospital, there's no need to send her a reminder until she's able to return to class. The subject for the message has also changed to the name of the resource, in this case, This Week in Tech Writing, February 22nd edition. From here, I can change the subject line if I wish and write a specific message to the students. Students will receive messages that appear to be sent individually, but I can send all of them a message in just one step. That's a significant time saver for a large class. For the third scenario, I added feedback to students' most recent project and reassigned the project to anyone who needs to revise to earn a complete. I wanted to send a message to every student I reassigned the project to so they take advantage of this opportunity to try the project again. In this case, I need to use tools built into grades to send my messages, so I'll go to the grades page. I need to find the assignment that I have reassigned, and I can use the filtering drop-downs at the top of the page, circled in orange here, to make that process a little easier. I've cropped this screenshot to remove the students' names, which would appear to the left side of this screenshot. When I mouse over the column headings for the assignment that I want to send a message about, the stacked 3-dot menu appears, circled in maroon. When I click the menu, the options appear below it. Next, I click Message Students Who, marked with the orange arrow, and Canvas opens a messaging dialog similar but not exactly the same as that in New Analytics. From the messaging dialog, I use the For Students Who drop-down to choose students who are reassigned to the assignment. Once I make this choice, the dialog will show the number of students to whom the assignment has been reassigned. As you see here, I have reassigned the assignment to 26 students, as shown with the maroon arrow. I can click the Show All Recipients link on the right side of the dialog, marked by the orange arrow, to see a list of the students who have been reassigned. And I can remove any who I don't want to send a message to. Now all I have to do is write my message. I can change the subject line and then add my custom message. In the bottom left corner, circled in maroon, I can click the buttons to add an attachment or to add a video or audio comment. So that's the 3 different ways I can send custom messages out to students. I list several other scenarios on the Ways to Connect with Students in Canvas handout, which I'll link in the chat. And that's the end of section 1 of this presentation. We're going to pause a few minutes and complete a short poll in Hopin, which will prepare us for the section 2 of the presentation, where we'll talk about course surveys.